Hi you guys, it's Lisa. Here we are with a 12 by 12 MDF board and this really cool colorful napkin. Now, have you ever had a project this just has gone so wrong you just want to whip it out the front door? Well, this one may be mine. There is no way that I could tell you how to do this. I just have to show you because I have no idea how it turned out the way it did. So stay tuned. I'm putting down some gesso on my MDF board and I'm constantly making sure that my hanger in the back is upright. I want to be able to hang this one possibly in my kitchen. So I hope that you stay tuned to the end. I have some information about that online class that I want to do. I had 6 people guaranteed to sign up, and I'm only going to do, I want to say 10, but I think now it's going to be 12. So stay tuned till the end, and I'll tell you about that. Okay, so I'm taking my napkin and I'm just putting some water on the edge to get rid of that border. I thought I might use that in this piece, but I didn't end up doing that. I do have it on my desk and I am sure it will go into something, probably an art journal background, because right now I'm doing those finishing art journal backgrounds on Saturday again, and I have some really cool ones coming up. I can honestly say turned out pretty neat. So stay tuned for that on Saturdays. And back to the piece. I'm giving my gesso a dry here because I'm going to adhere that napkin. And if you've ever worked with napkins, you know you have to be careful. Well, apparently today was not the day for me to be careful because I ripped it several times and I just embraced it. I embraced the holes. I embraced seeing through to the background. So in the end, it absolutely works. I am looking at the piece right now and I think it's absolutely fabulous. I will not be getting rid of this one. And like I said, I have no idea how I did it. So it was just a fluke. So my background is going to be dry and I'm going to put my napkin down with my matte medium. So you can see there on the right hand side, I did tear it and I have some holes. And here I'm just using my emery board to cut off those edges. It works really good. Emery board is a great tool to have in your craft room. I use it all the time. And also a Swiffer for your desk. I'm kind of a neat freak. I try to keep my desk tidy, and so a Swiffer really works great. So my background is dry and I'm going to use my trusty burnt umber acrylic paint. And today I'm going to mix it with some glazing medium and some water. And the reason I'm using the glazing medium is because it is a larger piece and I want to cover the whole thing and I don't want it to dry in the top left corner by the time I get to the bottom right. So I'm going over the whole piece. And I do have lots of wrinkles in the napkin. I have some holes. I have some background. It is kind of a mess, but trust me, it gets worse. So going over the whole thing, I'm going to add some water and make that paint run as I usually do and make it vintage and grungy. Now, we've all seen Sean Petit do this 100 times. She's a great inspiration to me, and I am so happy to be on her design team. It's coming to an end this fall, and I'm going to be really sad about that. So we'll just say that she's taught me a lot, and I thank her very much. So I'm going over the piece after I put water down because I wanted it a little bit darker. And I am just dabbing it up with my wet towel and getting it to the texture and color that I wanted. Yep, that napkin is absolutely beautiful, and I only have one. It was given to me by my Aunt Janet, and when I visited her in March, no, I think it was February. Everything seems just so crazy right now when nothing is normal. I am using some chalk paint by, let's see, by Folk Art, and the color is sheepskin, and this is a real nice color, kind of creamy white. I'm using my brayer and I'm pushing that background to the back so it's not so busy. Well, you'll be amazed what happens next. And I apologize for leaving this stenciling part in here, because as you'll see, it goes terribly wrong, but bear with me. In the end, I think it turned out really cool. So I wanted to use this stencil, and I wanted this background to peek through, and my thought was going to go around the flowers on the stencil with black paint and make the flowers in the background be the flowers in the foreground. Well, here's my first mistake. I used a Sharpie marker, and I am putting that just like a high test. Well, I guess it wasn't a Sharpie. It was called EK Tools. It is a writing pen. And I just went gung-ho filling in this stencil, and that was my first mistake. Like I said, it was just too dark, it was too vibrant, what have you. It just did not work. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit while I'm going ahead and messing up this project. Keep watching and see what happens. So I was talking earlier in the month about doing a mixed media project with Stamperia, and I wanted to give you an update at the end of this video, let you know how that's coming along. So here, back to the piece. I thought maybe I would use a pencil and some scrap wallpaper and use that as a template to make some of the smaller flowers from this stencil, because they were kind of hard to use that marker on, and I didn't think that it was going to turn out, so I wanted to have the very outside of the stencil edge. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. So I did the 4 and I cut them out, and we'll come right back after I have them all cut out. All right, so now I have them cut out, and I'm just setting them onto the background where I think that it looks kind of nice. So here comes the black acrylic paint, and my thought is I'm going to go around all of these sunflowers or flowers, I'm not sure, I think they're sunflowers, and I'm going to color this whole background and leave the flowers to be open so that napkin and all of those colors can shine through. Well, yeah, it does not turn out very pretty. And I can tell right about now that I'm hating it, because the outline of those flowers are quite dark and the black paint is not covering it up. So I thought, well, I'll go over and put another coat of the black paint. Yeah, here I'm going around the cutout that I did and using it as a mask. So I thought that would be an easy idea for that. And, well, we'll just keep watching and I'll show you what happens. So fast forward, the power of video editing here. I hate it. So I grabbed the alcohol. We all know that rubbing alcohol is our friend. And I'm thinking, well, maybe if I pick up some of that black paint, it will pick up some of that marker around the edge of those flowers. Now it's going terribly, terribly wrong here. So look at, I covered the whole thing. I'm using more alcohol, and right now I'm like just about crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? You can really see that marker around those flower stencils. So here I go. I'm adding a ton of alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and I'm trying to get back to that napkin with all of that beautiful color on it. And here is where Sean is teaching us that you have to, don't worry about the background. Do what you feel you need to do. So here I'm really kind of panicking. I'm giving it just a scrub. I'm trying to scrub off that marker, try to get back to that beautiful napkin because I only had one. Now, if it would have been a different situation where I would have had more than one, I probably would have stopped, dried the whole piece, went right over the top with another napkin and started over. But I didn't have one. So I'm keeping on going, keeping on trucking. I'm really scrubbing to get that black marker off. And this is a great example, like when I teach my workshops, that nothing is wrecked. We can always fix it. You just have to keep going, and we'll get there. We'll fix it. So here I am adding some more of that white to try and get that black marker off the back and get it out of my way because it was really, really bothering me. And I can see right away that this is working. So I'm super happy and excited. And I keep trucking along, and as you'll see, it does work out. So don't panic. We'll get there. And like I said, nothing is lost. Add some black, add some white, use the rubbing alcohol, and we can fix anything. Gotta let it dry, for sure let it dry. Now I'm just creating a little paint palette there, and I'm picking out some paint, and I wanted to pick up the greens that were in the background and the purple because I'm going to do some tulips. There are stencils of Sean Petit, and the stencil is called Tulip Trio, and I'll link to it in the description below if you want to get your hands on it. It was my first time using it, and I apologize, Sean. It's just been crazy here. And so it's better late than never because tulips are just blooming in my front yard. I have black tulips, and they are absolutely amazing. And I should have done black tulips here. I didn't even think about it till I just said that. So maybe next time. Here we go. First, I'm using a Dina Wakley stencil and mask set. I'll also link it below. And I am using my jet black archival ink and my stencil brush. And I am going to write the word create. And here I'm using the inside of that R. It comes in the masks, and I'm putting it down with a little sticky dot so that it will be inside of the letter for when I want to go over it with my brush. See, I'm going over it right there. I just stuck it down with a little glue dot and going right over it. Now I'm taking my tweezers, removing the glue dot, and make sure you get the glue because it's really sticky in there. And I'm going forward, writing the word create. Now, I've heard several people say the best way to get your letters straight is to not want them straight. Make them crazy. Here I'm using that glue dot again and putting the inside of the A. That's a good technique to use. You don't have to worry about having that moving all around. So anyways, make your letters totally crooked, and everyone will just know that you did that on purpose. If I try to make them straight, it's more of a hassle. So I just continue and go this way, make them crooked to start with, and they turn out just fine. Removing the middle of that A and finishing up with the E, and we'll be all set there. All right, now I'm using a stencil by Tim Holtz, and it is called, I'm not sure, but I will make sure that I look it up and link it below. But I love this great pattern of these, I don't know, Argyle, and it's a Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous. I will link it below, and this is really great stencil. I absolutely love it. So I needed some of that in the background. You can say that my background was too plain, but there's a lot going on there, but I think that it just really helps stop the eye from focusing too much on that background. I'm going to use that stencil, and I'm going to put down the tulips. I want to give this a dry, and we will get going on those tulips. All right, so I am just putting down some paint here on a little piece of paper I use as a palette, and there are some different ones that I have. I'm using some Dina Wakley in olive. I have something by Seth Apner, different product, and I'm using some makeup sponges, and I'm going through the stencil to give a great impression. I did not want to use my light avocado, but here it is. Of course, I had to go back and get out my favorite light avocado. I have a really hard time doing any type of floral image and not using this color. I don't think I ever have not used this color. It is a great color. So use what you love, right? I mean, it's your piece, your art. It's going to be hanging on your wall, hopefully. And yeah, I really like this color. So I'm also going to use some light purple, and that is a very inexpensive paint. The name brand is Master's Touch, so that is very inexpensive paint. But I really love the color, and the tulips, are going to look amazing. Then I also have some different color of purple that is by Liquitex, and I will list that below in the description if you need the actual colors. So doing some more stenciling, and I wanted to give this just a little wipe because I'm going to turn it over, and I didn't want that color to go on my piece. I have had enough problems with this piece, and I wanted to make sure I was not having any more problems. So just arranging that, I couldn't decide where to put it. I ended up going with here, and I'm going to stencil this tulip the same way I just did the last. All right, both stencils are done, and I was just looking at the piece, and I'm like, oh, there's a big hole there right in the top middle. It needed some more of that Argyle stenciling with that black, jet black, and I'm glad I did it, and I darkened some of that was in the upper right corner just to make it pop a little bit more. It was kind of getting lost, so I believe that worked. Let me know in the comments below if you liked that or not, and I think that it really worked. Now here I had a lot of charcoal pencil work to do, and I'm going to leave it in. I am going to run it. Of course, it's going a lot faster than I could And I just want to leave it in because it really looks intimidating, and I was feeling intimidating. There was a lot of charcoal that I needed to do here. I'm just taking my time. I am smudging it with my finger, and I'm standing back and looking at it and making sure I like it. The finishing touches take the longest time. They are the most rewarding. You can see I'm wiping my hand on that wet towel. I always have a wet towel over to the side. And this is where the true art comes in. Those finishing touches, back and forth, looking at it, standing up, sitting down, walking away. I think I even may have walked away and went and had dinner and then came back because I was like, oh gosh, I can't believe that this is looking the way it has. Where did the tulips come from? I was doing sunflowers, if you remember, way back in the beginning of this piece. I had sunflowers stenciled, not tulips, but it ends up working. I'm just taking my time going around the areas that are left open in the stencil. This is using your stencil as a guide. Shawn tells us that all the time. She is the one that has showed us how to do this many, many times. And she is so right. She's the one that designs these stencils so we can make this beautiful art with it. And thank you again. This video is thanking Shawn for all of her help she's given me and with my art, and I think this piece turned out well. So I'm just bringing in that palette paper palette with the paint on it. Ooh, that's hard to say. And I'm just using a fine brush and bringing those colors in so that it made it just blend together for me. Some of the bottom got a little too dark, so I'm going back and forth. And this is where the magic happens, I believe. I'm really liking putting in the light colors and putting in the darker purple, and it turned out darn good, I think. Filling in some of that green where that color was shining through. And now I'm using that lighter color for some of the highlights. You'll see how I finished it here. I'm going to speed up to the end, and I am going to show you the end product with the pictures. All right, I know this has been a long video. I'm sorry, it just was a long process to get to this point. I'm adding some of my wonderful pan pastels to the tulips and a few other colors around the piece. I'm going to use my white pastel pencil and do some highlights on those letters, and I'm going to use my black marabou crayon and go around the edge like I love to do. So I thank you for sticking in here and staying with me to the end. Can you believe how this turned out? It has been quite a journey. Now, back to the online class. I am going to do the online class, and the project would be Stamperia this time. I need you to comment below and let me know if you want to do the class. It is going to be a doozy, that's for sure. You're going to receive a box of product that is definitely going to be worth the price of admission. The products obviously will be Stamperia. We will have the details in the mid-May area. I just need to know if I have enough people that are interested. I need about 6 more, and the maximum is going to be 12. Right now, I believe I have 6 to 7 people already wanting to do it. The price of the class is going to be $85. I'm only going to do it for the participants in the United States because of shipping and all of this coronavirus stuff going on. So leave a comment in the description below if you are interested in the Stamperia class. It will be online. You will receive a box of product and we will do it together. It should be quite amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. I have ordered enough product to do 3 online classes. So we'll start out with the first one. And I believe, well, I can't say, I think the first one is quite amazing. So again, leave a comment below. I will talk to you soon. Thanks for hanging out for this video and enjoy the pictures at the end. And I will see you on Saturday for another Finish Your Background Art Journal page. Thanks for stopping. Bye.